The kits for all three COLLAB units are out, Frieren, Fern, and Stark. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. Frieren's a DPS, she's got really high attack, some pretty crit chance, some speed, nothing else, no bulk, no effectiveness, no F-res. With a crit chance self-imprint, so any dupes you get of her are going to be a bit higher value. Her S2's got some pretty interesting stuff on it. She gives 40% resource increase to all allies at the start of the battle, so any units that start out with no fighting spirit or no focus and want to gain them will get a little bit of a boost from her. And then more importantly, when she has 4 or more souls, she gets defensive magic, which nullifies damage from skills, consumes 4 souls when attacked. This is just... skill nullifiers every 4 souls you have is pretty nuts. I think that this is a really interesting thing to have because you have to, like, think about if you're going to use your souls for the effects or for more damage versus holding it so you can get these skill nulls. I feel like she doesn't have any good methods to make people not ignore her. We'll have to see how high her damage is. But there's there's going to be some thinking to do here. Also, she has the Hellion Lua passive, where after she gets attacked, increases CR of all allies by 7% plus 3 for 10%. This is going to be pretty good. Like, if you get hit by an AoE, you'll be able to CR push everybody. Always nice having team CR push. Now for her S3, which is all the way over here. Shutrajim. After granting increased ally to the attack for 3 turns, AoE attack attacks all enemies and dispels all buffs. We're probably not going to build her with any effectiveness, so the dispels all buffs is just a little bonus if it's not the F-res frenzy, and you're using her into just any units without F-res. She also gets 50% CR and penetrates the target's defense by 50%. Since this is just a basic AoE damage attack, we have to see how much damage it does. I mentioned that she needs to really be able to pressure people, I think, in order to make them try and kill her, but we'll see how much damage this does. Increased CR, she gets to use her S1 a little bit faster, and her S1 is she attacks with a single target, gets immunity, then activates Volzembel as an extra attack if it's her turn. This gives her 1 more soul, so she gets 2 souls from using S1 on her turn. AoE attack, damage dealt increases proportional to the enemy's lost HP, and you can soul burn this for 10 souls to increase your damage dealt. So she's got 2 AoE attacks, plus an extra attack. Nothing that prevents her from being countered or anything is one thing. Though you can't counter the extra attack portion. And then the soul burn, you're using up 2.5 skill nullifiers here technically. This is also largely going to depend on how much damage she does. Like, it looks like you have a decent thing where you can S3 to do some stuff, and then S1 to... you'll have this damage dealt increases proportional to the lost HP part. But her kit is largely going to depend on how much damage she does, I think. She has 2 completely new effects. Resource increase is something that nobody has. And then defensive magic is also completely new. So we'll see exactly how she is once she comes out. The 4 souls thing is where it gets interesting because her artifact, if we go over here, this is 5-star book. Mirrored Lotus Ring, Mage Artifact, 20 souls at the start of the fight, and also has a 100% chance to gain 2 souls when taking a turn. So this synergizes really well with her, of course, because 2 souls from using S1 and S3, I forgot how many souls, but it's going to be at least 2. This means she basically gets a skill nullifier every single turn if you have this artifact plus 30. And then it's Tag of Hells. It's 20 souls at the start of the first battle. This is 5 skill nullifiers for her, but you can use this on any mage that uses Tag of Hells would use this pretty well. Looking at the stats, this has 273 attack, while Tag of Hells has 156. So that is 117 more attack. It's not going to your base attack, it's at the end, but it does get multiplied by attack buff. 100 attack is not insignificant for DPSs, so any DPS unit that uses book is going to want this artifact. Sylvain Sage Vivian, Eternal Wanderer, Mudwig. And then also, because you get 2 souls at the start of the turn, I think any mages that are in longer fights, especially units like New Moon Luna, are going to use this super, super well, because New Moon Luna cycle is infinite turns. She is just zooming. So you're going to get so many souls from this artifact on your Luna. Also, Sylvain Sage Vivian also in any longer fights would use this really well. So it's I think New Moon Luna Eternal Wanderer, Ludwig, or any sort of like DPS mages, plus Sylvain Sage Vivian, probably a few others that I can't think of right now. But this artifact is going to be really good. The only thing to keep in mind is that it's going to be really expensive to get. So you're going to have to pick and choose which units you decide to use these on. I feel like a lot of units you're just going to be using Tag of Hells anyways. Next up, let's take a look at Fern. Fern, she's got some crit damage, crit chance, and attack. Another crit chance imprint unit. Her S2 is really interesting. At the start of battle, gain 3 focus, +2, so she gets 5 focus at the start of battle. She increases speed by 15% and evasion by 20% per focus. So start of battle, she has 75% speed and 100% evasion. The 75% speed, the question is, does this apply like at the very start of battle when you're 0% CR? Or does the start of the first battle mean like when you actually take your turn? Because actually there is a device for Pavel in the Automaton Tower that gives him speed buff at the start of the battle, and I remember that I remember that device not giving him the speed until somebody actually took a turn, but I have not picked that artifact in years. So if anybody knows that would be an interesting thing to maybe tell if she'll get the speed at the start of the fight or not, because that is also like a speed buff at the start of the battle. If this does work and she gets 75% at the start, she's literally like, she's guaranteed turn 1. I feel like that would be a little bit broken, so I'm kind of not expecting it to. The 100% evasion, though, when she evades, she consumes 1 focus and decreases skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Both of these are very, very relevant, just because for now, we're going to say her S3 starts with a full skill cooldown count, and it's a 6-turn cooldown, 5 turns after you enhance it. We're going to look at her S1 first, because we can use her with Riposte. She's got full evasion, you can use Riposte, you'll counter, and when you counter, you gain 1 focus. So you can just keep on getting your focus back. And then, when your focus is 3 or higher, she'll decrease skill cooldowns by 1 turn. Even if you miss your Riposte every once in a while, she has so much speed, and you gain 1 focus when you actually take your turn. So even with only average RNG, I feel like this unit is going to be able to consistently maintain focus. You've got decreased skill cooldown from your S2 plus your S1. Taking another look at her S1, she gets increased attack before attacking, so pretty much permanent attack buff. Soul Burn for an AoE. Damage dealt based on her speed, but she has a ton of speed so long as she has focus. Now, once you get your decreased skill cooldowns and you manage to use your S3, it again gives her attack before she attacks, and it's a single target attack that penetrates by 70%. And again, speed scaling, so her kit is largely riposte based. Like, you need riposte for this unit. You're going to dodge stuff, you're going to counter, decrease your skill cooldowns, you'll maintain your focus from the counters, and then nuke people with her S3. We need to see how much damage this does, but she's going to have so much speed. You're going to need to use a lot of units that have ways to get around her defensive stuff, which is her evasion, and she also has, we can look at her artifact real quick. Her artifact gives her a barrier, 50% of her attack for 2 turns, once per turn, but she moves super, super fast. The once per turn thing isn't a huge deal. And also some free 20% attack. So you're going to need stuff like fixed damage or anti-evasion or anti-focus. She's going to be pretty weak to those things, being a focus unit. Or maybe anti-counter, because then you would prevent the riposte. So maybe something like Mort. Definitely some ways to stop her, I think, unless she does get 75% CR at the start of the combat. So I did take a look at this, but you can never really rely on the combat demos, because this could be a base speed Fern. If this is a base speed Fern, then she's only going to be 175-ish speed. So you can't tell if this is a fast Fern or not. Now let's take a look at Stark. For Stark, HP scaling bruiser, crit chance self-imprint, though he is free, so you get all this for free, but he has so much HP here and pretty much no attack. Taking a look at his kit, his S2, when an ally is attacked, gain 10 fighting spirit. This should be per ally. And then when his fighting spirit is full, activates Warrior Strike, which consumes 100 fighting spirit and increases his CR by 50% before resetting his S3 cooldown. So the CR push lets you get closer to your turn to S3 again, And you're going to be able to spam S3, HP scaling, of course. He'll work with Frieren, I guess. She'll give him 40 fighting spirit at the start of the fight immediately. Even if this doesn't do too much damage, we'll see how much damage it does. Depending on his S3, maybe just being able to spam S3 is going to be good enough. Now let's take a look at his S3, Lightning Strike. Attacks the enemy by slamming down, 50% death pen. Damage dealt increases proportional to his max HP. And every time you use the skill, it stacks up to 3 times. So his S2 resetting his S3 plays into this. As long as you don't die, you're going to be able to spam your S3 and the damage keeps on going up, and you can soul burn it for 10 souls. The only mildly concerning thing is he has no like defensive stuff in his kit. Like, no barriers, no death buff, nothing. His S2 doesn't give him like anything. This is all just DPS stuff. So the question is, can he survive long enough to even be able to spam S3 like this? We'll have to see. And again, this is going to depend on his multipliers, how much damage this actually does. Also, all 3 of them death pen. Fern had 70, Frieren and Stark had 50. A lot of death pen going on here. His S1, just the basic attack it provokes. Inflicts damage based on his max HP. He does get 20 fighting spirit, which is a lot. I was kind of expecting 10. I was expecting it to be a lot more, just like you have to take the hits. But yeah, did his S3 give any fighting spirit? Nope, it doesn't. So it kind of has to be his S1. Again, there's like nothing that helps him survive. There's no healing, no nothing. So we'll see how his survivability is. For his artifact, we've got the Jumbo Berry special. 20% damage for a single target attack. The stats are mainly HP with a bit of attack. This is actually the minimum attack plus the most HP you can get. I feel like this might just be like a filler PvE artifact, honestly. Like I mentioned, he has no survivability anywhere. I feel like you're going to want an artifact that makes it so he doesn't die more than anything else. Any HP scaling bruiser also generally has the same thing. Like you want to not die. I think just raw damage with literally no other effects isn't super good. Even if you're using it on like a cleaver or something, trading 4% attack for the CR push from Merciless Glutton, for example, is a pretty like worthwhile trade-off, I think. I think you'd rather have the CR push in most cases. But this is a free artifact, so you do instantly get this to 20%. Though again, you lose out on like 100 attack. Actually, it's like 160 attack or so from not having or having this specific stat spread. That's it for all of the units. A lot of it is really just depends on their multipliers. We'll have to see how they actually do in game. But I like their kits. Stark being all attack with pretty high like defenses, but nothing that actually makes him tank better besides just having a lot of HP is very like lore accurate. Same thing with Fern. She just fires the lasers very, very quickly and is not super easy to kill. And Frieren's got all of her like random stuff that she pulled out from like 500 years ago. COLLAB seems cool so far. We'll see what we get for the events in a week.